I'm standing here hoping that I have actually right PowerPoint on. Just told me this walking. Anyway, oh yeah, let me take one of these. You can all hear me okay? Okay. So I actually grew up in England, in the UK, and had wonderful childhood, very, very loving family, very supportive. I basically couldn't have wanted for anything more. And all of my needs were met, and in some senses, I guess I probably had a very privileged upbringing. I think I'm just going to storytell in a pretty simplistic chronological order, because I'm actually sort of, and there's no words, by the way, the slides are just pictures, okay, so you'll just hopefully find it pretty easy to just concentrate on me. And I'm in a pretty distressing sort of phase in the last week myself, so if you do hear me choke a little bit, it's okay, I'm fine, I'm used to it. I do that all the time, but it might be a little bit emotional for me, but don't worry, I'm fine, and I hope you'll be all fine. So, what's my story? Depression had always been quite a large part of my life, and despite this lovely, beautiful childhood that I had, it all sort of went very off track. Around about the age of 14. Up till then, the only thing emotional that I'd found very difficult and challenging was the death of my grandparents, particularly my grandfather, because he was really one of my best friends. I was just in love with him, and I found that, I refused to go to school, and I found it very challenging. But apart from that, everything was pretty simple and nothing great and conventional. I'd been doing a lot of dancing, singing. I'd gone to dance school, stage school, that's been one of my classes. I'd begun operatic training at 12 years old, and I just really wanted a career in the theatre. And so I was quite talented, and I was quite bright, and I was doing really well at school. And I was bullied at school, and I think pretty much because I was a bit of an easy target. As you can see, I'm very small. So an easy target for other girls, because, as soon as you're small, it's, you're the target. But as I think I understood later, probably also for a jealousy, because I was quite an attractive young girl. I was talented, I was a triple threat, I sang, I danced, I act, I was very good at school, linguistically as well. I could speak in Latin, I would sing in different languages, in opera. Great boyfriends, and I just think that it made me incredibly challenged at school, because I was dealing with horrible bullying. And I just took it, and I never rose up to it, not because I was actually scared, I'm quite a confident young girl, but because I had so much going on at this point I'm about to explain outside of school, that really school was actually the least of my worries, so I was just kind of, just explode at one point and deal with that. But it was still enormously unpleasant to go to school, because the language and the phrases that were coming at me are horrifying. So at the age of 14, I go off to a party. Party I shouldn't have been going to, because it was for a lot of older people. And unfortunately at that party, I got raped very, very, very difficult, because I don't really have the emotional maturity, I think, at that point to really understand what's going on. And I don't tell anyone, right? I will just die if my parents knew, my dad knew, my brother knew, my mum. I just tell a few close friends, trying to get a bit of peer support, but of course when your friends are also 14, they don't really have the psychological skills to help you through that either. So I'm completely unsupport, I don't have any professional help. So I just bundle along, and that's when school becomes quite difficult. I begin hanging around with individuals outside of school, very hardened individuals, some gypsy girls, and yeah, I'm in quite a violent circle and there's lots of crime and things, and then one day I do get bullied at school just beyond a point where I'm just prepared to take at that point, and I do essentially beat someone up quite badly. Another girl made quite a mess of her and was thrown out of school. So now I've got the reputation of just don't mess with this girl, yeah. Which I guess I wanted at the time, I was quite immature and quite proud of that, like, oh well, not, you know. So that's kind of where I ended up. And so I finished school and I've got these boyfriends that just, it's kind of quite hard to have an actual relationship when you've lost all of your sort of trust and your understanding. When you've had something like that, when you've been violated like that quite young, you don't really, I wasn't very well integrated, you know, so I look back now and obviously it was PTSD, I had the nightmares, started night terrors, the feeling in your stomach, that hypervigilance around men and that distrust, and it was altogether just really quite, I guess I was a bit broken, really, because I got thrown into an adult world that I just wasn't aware of, and I obviously wasn't ready to be put in. And got to about 19 years old. Since then, I had a back deformity discovered as well whilst I was in school. Got put in a back brace for 9 hours a day for about 9 or 10 months. So basically my dreams of, you know, my prima ballerina dreams, it's not that I wanted to go into ballet, but I was more into the modern and contemporary dance. But, you know, things were being crushed for me left, right and centre. So pretty much I knew that dancing was not going to be in my career, tried to focus on singing. Went out with a con man, took some of my inheritance, and then another guy who, his house was raided by New Scotland Yard, and then there was me, and there was just really bad choices, and part of that was just being a teenager. Like, I'm not pinning it all on me not being brilliantly emotionally together. I think it was just a mixture of everything. And so at 19, unfortunately, the individual who attacked me the first time actually found out where I was living and came back and actually repeated that attack, although this time I was actually pretty much left for dead, actually. So when I woke up in my apartment, I was living alone, and yeah, so another trip to hospital, and then I leave. So I've had quite a bit in about 19 years, and I leave hospital after having my backside stitched back together, and I mean actually stitched back together. And I just wander off, and I just really need a good man in my life. And luckily I met my husband, and we've now been together over 21 years, so this wonderful guy. And long story short, my mother emigrates here to Perth with my then stepdad, and she takes unwell, and she has a psychiatric diagnosis, and essentially her sort of main problem was she was from a massive sexual trauma background herself, and was a dissociative disorder. So I then followed her out here with my husband, who was then my fiance. So we emigrated here in 2002. And I thought, you know, I've left my dad, you know, I'm daddy's girl, I've left my dad. And I've left my friends, all my family, all my friends, and everyone I know, and my in-laws. I'm coming to marry this guy. He's not going to see his family for God knows how long. But I did sort of, on a level, think, it's just a new slate now. I'll just get to Australia and I'll just be like a different person. I'll just leave it all behind me and I'll just start afresh and everything is going to be fine. So I'm quite excited as well. And then when I got here, I just probably had the worst year of my life because I'm caring for my mum, and I'd have to say, even though I'm from quite a traumatic background, being a carer, I'd say was actually the worst experience I'd ever had and the most traumatic. So I'm very sympathetic to carers because I actually found that more difficult. I can deal with my own stuff pretty good, like I've pretty much done everything, but looking after my mum absolutely ripped me apart. organising a wedding, my wedding at the same time. And with my mum, there's overdoses and hospital admissions, and my husband was trying to get a visa, and there's Department of Immigration. I couldn't find a job, didn't have any money, and my mum was sick. All the money ran out that the stepdad had left, and then we were virtually homeless, and then, you know, so that 12 months, you know, organising my wedding amongst all that was really quite difficult. But worth it, and it was a beautiful wedding. And yeah, I just found it a lot more stressful with him. And eventually I got a job, and I worked in radiology, because I'd always had this fascination with medicine and the human body and human biology. So I was working in fluoroscopy, ultrasound, X-ray, learning a lot about the human body. And one day one of the radiologists said to me, you know, you're really bright, you're wasted it, you know, you should just be a doctor. And I went, okay, I'll do that then. like you just decide you're going to be a doctor, because I'm just like that, because I'm really impulsive. So I just quit my job, I'm not coming to work anymore, I'm going to be a doctor. So off I went to college, and I'm going back to school, and my husband, bless him, he comes back to school with me, right, just to do English, and he's an artist, so we did some art, just not for a job, we do everything together, right, we're just inseparable, we're kind of the sort of joke around our friends, we're just, yeah, we're just a lovely couple. There was a joke, actually, amongst my friends in England, is that when I was with Ralph, they all wanted to clone him and sort of code him to be in love with them so they could all have Ralph, because he's just absolutely wonderful. So, yeah, best thing in my life. And so we're off to school together, doing things together, and we also work for 2 hours in the morning cleaning, so we have some money to help us while we're full-time studying. So we work together, we live together, we study together, and I was starting to feel really optimistic about life. I was getting over all these things. You know, I'm going to be a doctor, and my granddad was going to be a doctor, so I'm going to do this. And I get pretty close, right? So I attain quite a few awards. There's 3 of them there. So I got a Triple Humanities Award, a National Australian Adult Learners Award, and I was also the valedictorian for the college. So I stayed there 2 years. So I did that in 2 years so I could get the best results for everything. But I didn't really realise at the time that I'd taken quite unwell. And I guess this is what's hard for people, because yes, I was unwell, and hard for me to understand too. But my first phase of this unwellness really was the mania side of it. And I'm not massively into medical terminology now, but I do like the word mania. I do feel it manic describes where I was, and I was a mania. I mean, I was just doing all this stuff. And I'm really lucky, because I'm one of those people that when I'm manic, I'm just an overachiever. Like, I do go a bit crazy, and there are some dangerous kind of precarious situations, but generally I just get a lot of shit done. And I just do it really freaking well. And I'm just thinking, life is incredible, I'm going to be a doctor in a minute. It's great. I mean, if I look back now, I actually probably was a little bit depressed when I first got here amongst all that immigration stuff. But we saw that as a normal kind of adjustment, you know, being a bit blue. So this is really when I was quite unwell. And I look back now and I think, oh my God, I've done all this stuff. And it's to give you an idea, I've spent 18 months getting up at 4:15 in the morning. I'm doing 2 hours of cleaning, scrubbing loose my stuff. I'm getting home at 8. I'm getting a quick change, shower to college. I'm in college full time, so I'm studying every day. And actually using the free tutorials in the library studying and not, you know, in the camera. And then I'm having dinner, and then I'm staying there till 8:30 at night to get in as much study as possible. And then I'm going home, having a dinner, and then I'm doing more reading, maybe a bit of exercise, going to bed, getting up at 4:15 again. So I'm on like a 15-hour day for 18 months. And I just thought, well, and I'm quite young, I was probably about 26, 27, around that age, and you know, I just thought life was great, and I'm doing all this stuff. But in 2007, so I qualified, I got my TE, it was TE back then, I got my TE in 2006, and I'd already done a couple of attempts to get to the UWA medical school, the UMAT exam, and I was now in 2007 taking a preparatory course. So I'm working full-time all day in a deli on my feet, and this is in this third year. And I'm then studying 3 hours a night on the computer for this UMAT preparation course. This is what it was back then, the medicine entrance exam was called the UMAT, and it was just this indomitable, it's very hard to get past. So I started doing really well in my prep course, and I'm passing all the exams on all 3 sections. And I'm absolutely right to go. I've got all my awards, I'm valedictorian, I'm passing the UMAT, I got a TER 97, with a 97th percentile for the state, so I had a really great application. But I was also really, by this point now, quite manic, because this has been building up for a couple of years. And I got down to about 39 kilos, yeah, so that was, and this was a year before, partying at the end of 2006, I got my awards and off. So I'm quite thin there, but so I'm visibly quite thin, but people thinking I'm just an exercise junkie, and I was always small. So I do the exam, and about September 2007, my results come through. I failed. Did great all the way up to section 3, and just failed section 3. And I couldn't, to say I was a bit blurred, a bit depressed, it would be an understatement. I have worked my guts out for 3 years. I've done 2 years in college, I've done a year's prep course, I've attained all these awards, and I've got this territory entrance ranking, and that's it. I'm just not going any further. It's just I'm not. It's not happening. And I couldn't just simply go and resit the UMAT, because for me there were technicalities, and I won't go into all that. There were some, and there's always other options, but none of those options have much appeal to me, because I'm mentally and emotionally exhausted. I'm done, and I just seem completely unable to cope with my failure and the associated feelings. And so I slip into this kind of alternate reality for a couple of weeks. 3-4 weeks, don't remember. I just remember not really knowing what I was doing. Which is very quiet, very subdued and withdrawn. Didn't really talk to my friends about how I really felt about this, was isolating myself. Had a massive row with my mother, who we were living with at the time, because we were students. She was letting us live there and cheap rent and supporting us. So when I just blew up at her, and I'm known for my temper, it was way back when I was at school, and I, had people. I think that's actually part of the PTSD, that temper, but I seem to have retained it. So sometimes I'm blaming that on PTSD, and sometimes I'm just a bitch, and I've been really violent. Just a bitch. Anyway, that's a character thing. I get angry real quick. So I'm now not talking to her, and that's really sad, because we actually, us 3 only have each other. There's no other family here, and we've only just started to make friends at college. So we'd already been living here for over 3 years, but we'd only really just solidified some friendships in 2006. Nearly 4 years without any real friends. So I'm kind of a bit isolated, and then I just feel like when I've driven somewhere or done something or said something, I feel like it wasn't me, or I don't remember, and I got this weird feeling like I was floating. So I'm alive, and I know that I'm on Earth and I'm living, but I kind of feel like I'm just floating through things with no real presence in the moment. And then my hands and my arms don't feel like my own. You're that robotic. Is that me? And I walk a bit weird, and everything's really, really surreal. And I'm thinking at this point, this failure is actually destroying me. Like, I think I might die, right? I feel like I want to die. I feel I'm going to kill myself. And eventually just blow up, have this massive row with my husband, which includes me threatening to stab him with a knife. And by how much I love him, I would never have, this is just a temper. I just say shit I don't mean because I'm so angry. And I just want to know anyone around me it's just awful. I'm so ashamed all the time of the things I say. And I've driven off into the night, I'm going to kill myself. So luckily, I don't. Clearly I don't, because I'm standing here. So I don't complete suicide, and I drive home. And the next day my husband gets me to a GP. And I find myself in a psychiatric clinic, a private clinic, and I'm just now really confused because I have no idea what's going on. I don't know why I'm there, right? Well, I mean, I know, but I can't quite believe why I'm there. Because I had this amazing life, and I was smart, and I'd been to college, and I'd done stuff, and I'd achieved things, and I had this wonderful husband, and I was popular at college, I had lots of friends, I'm in a new country, my mum's well now, everything's great, and I'm going to be a doctor in a minute. And then I'm just doped up and a bit drooly and staggering around this clinic, just really vacant. I don't understand why I'm here. And so then I got pretty aggressive again with someone, and I was altogether very unpleasant, and then found myself in Greylands for a week, which further traumatised me because I don't think I was on a very appropriate ward for someone who had never entered mental health services before. So really confused. And luckily, they knew I was being traumatised just by being there, and I was put on a priority transfer list to another private clinic. So even though my private health hadn't really worked out, and I'd ended up in Greylands, which was part of that reason, there is a little private clinic that has 2 government subsidised beds. So basically, I was top of the list, and I got this public bed, but it was in a very tiny private clinic, so much more appropriate. And I got stuck there for about 7 weeks. And I remember speaking to the psychiatrist when I first got there, who was the medical director, and I said, I've seen one GP, and I've been to 3 different locations, and seen 5 psychiatrists in basically a week, and no one knows what's wrong. I want someone to tell me what's happened, what's wrong with me. And no one could tell me what's wrong with me. And everyone who knew me was completely confused. I'm like, what went wrong with me? And I think even at one point I stayed sitting, behind the desk and psychiatrist, and I said, I think I'm on the wrong side of the desk here. I was asking if he's talking. So I was really shocked. And then just followed this 6-month period. I eventually got out, and I started seeing my own, my chosen psychiatrist. And I was just bundling along, just thinking, I don't know what I was thinking. I just had no idea. There was just nothing. The lights were on. No one was home. And then I got to that phase then where it's just denial. So I've just gone into the second. I've done the shock, and I'm now just in complete denial. This is not happening to me. It's all a big mistake, and I'll just get better, and I'll just kind of erase it all, and it'll be fine. Because I'd gone through this 10-month diagnostic process where no one knew what was wrong. So I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder first, but then I had a psychotic episode, what they call a psychotic episode, not my terminology, but and then that was changed to schizoaffective disorder. So I've been told I've got this thing called schizoaffective disorder, and I'm thinking, that just doesn't mean anything to me. I didn't apply it to myself. I sort of on the outside accepted, and I told my friends I've been diagnosed with this thing called schizoaffective disorder. But deep down, I was ready to shrug it. I think I'm just going to solve that and not have it. And so there's just this complete denial. So eventually, after 19 months on sickness pension, I got this a little job in a sandwich bar, and I was just feeding my own denial. If I can work, there's nothing wrong with me, right? And I did really well for about 5 months, but I took on a lot of extra shifts to cover someone's leave, and then it happened. And I had what they term floridly psychotic paranoid impulsive episode. I go missing from home for 3 days, right? Because I think, and I don't know where this comes from, that the Department of Immigration has armed rogue agents out after me, wanting to kill me. They've got guns and they're going to shoot me dead. I panic, so I leave home, as you would do. And I'm trying to protect my husband, because I think if these agents come to my place, they'll kill my husband too, and they'll kill all my family, because they're like these rogue agents. And so I'm absolutely petrified. And I'm also trying to protect my loved ones, because they're all I have. I failed at everything else, clearly, and they're just now all I have. So I'm off for 3 days just wandering beaches and shopping centres. I slept in my car, don't remember some of it. And then at one point I walk out of a Kmart store and I see those, you know those panels that pick up the security tags on things, like if you stole them. So I walk through and I suddenly think that the Department of Immigration are getting, these panels are picking up signals from deep within my head, right? And they're beaming it up to satellite and back down to Department of Immigration, and that will tell them where I'm located. I'm being located when I get shot, right? So I'm just in a panic. So I fly into a hairdresser's and I get them to shave my head completely bald. I don't just mean like a cut, I mean like a grade 0, like I have no hair. And that also helps, I won't be recognised, right? And then now I'm hearing voices, which I hadn't heard before. So even though I have the schizoaffective diagnosis, my psychosis were normally visual, which is a little bit more unusual because auditory is really common. So now I am hearing voices, and I've got one telling me when to run, when to hide, turn the next corner, they're going to come, they're going to find you, they're going to be next shot, oh, you got to duck, so I'm just running around in this horrific world, and then I've got this other voice saying it's just a running commentary and everything I'm doing, and I get this, she is walking very fast, she is scratching her nose, she's smoking a cigarette, it's going into a shop, it's just got that going, and then this one going, and yeah, just petrified. And at this point, I slept in my car one night in floods of tears because I really want to see my husband, and I probably needed him then more than ever, and I just felt so alone, and I just wanted to tell him that I loved him, but I thought I'll be dead soon. I just wanted to tell him that, and I couldn't, and that really hurt, and that was killing me. So I was very lonely a couple of days. The police were out doing all this. Anyway, my husband found me. Long story short, my husband found me back in the clinic, and now I'm suddenly in this next phase of acceptance, because I've just got to accept now that I've got a bit of a problem. And I realised that I'm a very troubled young woman, and I've just got to accept. And at this point, I accept this biomedical model that we do in Western psychiatry. Our dominant understanding is this disease model. So I just accept that I'm disordered. I'm a disordered person. I'll move beyond that now, by the way, but that's where I was. I'm just accept I've got this disorder and chemical imbalance and all this stuff. Wasn't offered any alternative way of understanding myself, any other frameworks of understanding at all. It's just like, here's the script, you've got to do this, you've got to do that, and you're in this box, and you guys, you're all the same in that box, you know, so not a very personalised approach. And I wake up in the clinic, probably the second day I was there, and I just see this person, this hairless woman staring at me. And I've just lost everything now, because I already had like kind of a few identity struggles at this point, but now I don't even look like me, right? So when I don't look like me, it really compounds the fact that I don't feel like me. And being from dance school and being, you know, someone where looks and the way you look and perform and everything is, so this is really hard. So I'm now super hairless. And I think ultimately my story, then I did this acceptance, and then I was getting somewhere. Unfortunately, I was on my way to a job interview, which was hopefully going to put me on track after all this stuff, because I'd done a lot of thinking, and I'd had to, after this acceptance came this phase of, they call it lack of insight, right? I'm not really keen on that term either, but I did learn about my thing, because up to then I'd never even Googled like schizoaffective disorders. I'd never even done a Dr. Google. So I'd done all this thinking, I was getting on track, I was going to a job interview, lots of learning, thinking I'm getting there. And I have, on the way to job interview, have a terrible car crash, end up in a neck brace for 9 months, and then get PTSD because of the other things around that car crash, and I'm back in hospital. So I have another 3 or 4 admissions, more psychosis, I'm alone. Ultimately then lost all my friends because I'm now worthless now, and I don't have anything to offer. I won't put that all on them. I probably was quite self-absorbed sometimes, and maybe I wasn't the best friend, but I wish they'd have hung in with me. So I'm just totally, I'm totally low. Gained weight on all the medications and then had to lose that. So that didn't help with the identity. And these were just a few pictures of these. There was a couple of years of trying to recover. And I'm going to end my story with, my main theme is I just lost myself. And I felt like the more therapy I had, the more I lost myself. I gained skills, yes, and mindfulness and anxiety techniques and that, but I had no idea who I was, and there was nothing really. I was getting stable, was stabilising, but it wasn't really me. And eventually I just felt institutionalised, because I've been going to the clinic 3 days a week for 24 months. I lived there, essentially, and just found myself in a position where I tried everything. I'm not going to list all the things I tried, but trust me, I tried everything, and then my psychiatrist just says, I think it's time we consider ACD. And I'm like, I know, right? And that's pretty scary when you don't feel you have any options other than doing something like that to yourself for 3 weeks. And I'm going to end it there. So I made a decision whether or not to go ahead, and I did.